Warning. It is the opinion of the 4th Street Productions LLC and the Working Perspectives podcast that we should inform you that some of the language used in this recording could possibly be considered offensive. You have been warned, so if you decide to listen to the recording, then don't complain about the language.
Okay, that's good. So you can really feel when someone actually really tries to kick your ass to get in the ring. You know what I mean? Like, you might not have this luxury of being like, oh, I'm out in the street and this person's trying to like hurt me or whatever. Like, I need to take like a break off here. Why don't you train tired or train in like in an elevated state of mind? You know what I mean? Like, at least that's how I like would look at it. Like,
that's when the best training happens.
Yeah,
you're absolutely right. Your thoughts, like, because it is intimidating. It is intimidating. The first time you come in. It was just
real stiff. It took me a while to get out of that too.
That's everybody.
And
I beat out of them.
Yeah, that gets beat out of you for sure.
It did, like literally, it did.
Hi, hello, how are you? Thanks for stopping by. Today we're going to talk to some real people about some real things, living real lives, doing real stuff. This is the Working Perspectives podcast. I'm Matt Lavelle, accompanied by the one and only Rich Latta, and our guest today is the man, the myth, the law dog himself, Josh Lawler. In case you're wondering, you can find all our stuff and all our content on all podcast platforms and YouTube at Working Perspectives Podcast. You can also on Instagram at Working Perspectives Podcast. You can join us on the Twitter and the TikTok at Working P Pod. If you'd like to be a guest on the show, please email us at workperspective@gmail.com. And please like and subscribe so we keep bringing you this sweet, sweet content. Rich, you ready to do this thing?
I'm ready.
Josh, you ready to go?
Oh, yeah, let's get it rolling.
Nice. Well, speaking of getting rolling, this is the Working Perspectives Podcast. Let's get this thing started. Let's go.
It's all objective to be effective by voicing societies. Working perspective, exploring your day and how you get paid. Launching a new episode every Tuesday. Your day can transform while we inform with new episodes available on every platform. So check out our vibe and how we get live. Then do us a solid. Share and subscribe. We're just sharing. We're just sharing. We're just sharing. Working perspectives.
All right. On the show today, it's the much anticipated return of the law dog himself, Josh Lawler. The last time Josh was on this episode, on the show, I mean, it was April of 2021. So almost 2 years ago.
Wow. Yes, sir.
Yeah, that you were on the show. A lot of things were different then. We were recording on a different platform. I think we've had like 4 different co-hosts since then, but it was super good to have him then. I'm super excited to have him back now. Josh, how you doing, man?
I'm doing great, buddy. Good to be here. Thank you.
Man. Happy to have you. So we're going to get it started. Where we talked about this before on your first episode, which is available now on all podcast platforms and YouTube at Working Perspectives Podcast. But I want to talk about this. What was your first introduction into MMA, mixed martial arts, that kind of thing?
So my first introduction, I was really young. My dad loved Bruce Lee movies.
Yeah.
And he did Kempo for a long time when I was younger. And like, so it was just always around, like the idea of fighting, martial arts, whatever. Just, it wasn't like a foreign concept to me.
Yeah.
So it wasn't anything I got pursued when I was young, though, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Damn it, mom. She was one of those 90s type of parents that was it's gonna make him more aggressive. You're gonna get hurt. And
what about ballet?
Yeah.
yeah.
So later on it I always pursued it, and it would be like the thing I would catch myself like, or my mom would catch me rather, like shadow boxing and just pretending to do the stuff in my dad's kung fu movies that I would watch, and she would get so mad. So it was like she would catch me doing it and be like, what are you doing? She had that primordial fear of basically being a single mom. I mean, she was a single mom that like you know, it's going to make him more aggressive. He's going to get in trouble, like blah, which ends up being the complete opposite.
Yeah,
true. Very true.
Big time. But but then my first drive to get here, like, was, I had a lot of personal stuff going on at the time. And I just had a lack of control, especially of like my emotions and stuff. And when I would get angry, you know what I mean? It just young angst in my early 20s and stuff. a lot of leftover childhood stuff, blah, 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 that type of shit that you don't realize is going on until you're just dealing with yourself,
Yeah.
So I had a couple instances where I just did things or said things that I wasn't proud of, and I wanted to change my life. I knew necessarily going into the service or something like that wasn't what I wanted to do, and God bless those people. And
Amen.
and I, 100% support the troops. You don't have to care about the war, but you can support the troops all day, and that's
I
me.
agree.
But for the most part, I just needed to change my life somehow. And my brother-in-law at the time was dating a girl, I guess, who trained.
If you could call it that.
Yeah, well, I don't know what their situation was,
Yeah.
but she was around, and I had seen her multiple times.
Friends.
Yeah.
It was Jamie Driver, who was a MMA fighter, like from Philly. I think she trained at Daniels, but she's been around like for a long time.
Yeah.
And she was fighting a lot. She at the time when they were hanging out, and I'd seen her around, and I asked her just because I was always curious about it, you know what I mean? And I grew up watching Spike, you know what I mean? I was saying like Forrest Griffin, Stephen Bonner, the whole deal, like Ultimate Fighter, all that stuff. And like I always liked it. So I found out that she trained, and I was like, oh man, that's awesome. And I would see her every couple of weeks. I would see her. She would ask me, did you sign up at the gym yet? I'm like, no, not yet. It's like, oh, I'm gonna go. She's like, okay. And then like, and I understand her having the type of mentality like that I do now. When somebody says something, whatever, did you go to the gym? No. And then you're just like, you're not gonna fucking go.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, everybody say it's the same thing, but then you just ask me, did you sign up at the gym yet? Did you sign up at the gym yet? Like every couple times. And then one day she's like, did you fucking sign up at the gym yet? And I'm just like, yeah, I did. Yep. I went the other day and I signed up. I went on my lunch break and I signed up. She was like, really? And and I can honestly say, her kind of getting on my ass about signing up is why I ended up being here. Yeah.
Good for her, dude. Thank her, man.
Yeah.
Like,
she's super cool though. Yeah.
Yo, you met her too?
Yeah.
Yeah. And
dude, I mean, look at what she did for she changed your life being on your ass like that.
Yeah. That's good. Think about it. And that's a woman.
Hmm?
You know what I mean? Which is basically you go back some, 10, 15 years ago, probably 99.9% male.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
So,
yeah, that was like, because what year was that? What year did you start here?
15.
So, yeah, that was like right at the Ronda Rousey was about to start coming up around then.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
So she was like before the Ronda Rousey era.
Yeah.
So like before women in mixed martial arts became ultra accepted.
Yep.
Yeah,
exactly.
Wow. So the fact that she knew to do that. Rich, can I ask you though? He said his dad did some Kempo. Did you run into that when you were doing karate, Kempo?
I didn't do Kempo.
No. Did you ever run into those guys doing Kempo? Or?
Yeah, you would see all different types of martial arts. You go to competitions and there's all, you had Kung Fu, you had this. I mean, some of it I didn't even know what it. I had no idea.
It was the backyard garage.
I mean, some of the stuff, I mean, all kinds of different styles out there from this, that. I always looked at it like a menu.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'll take 2 of them.
Yeah.
I think the guy my dad trained with, I believe his name was Mike Cappy. I think that was.
Yeah, I know who Mike is. Yep.
Yeah, I think that's who it was.
Yep.
Nice.
But yeah, I mean, I just Jamie had like an air about her where it was just like,
you wanted
she'll beat you up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you just knew it. And I just thought, she was super cool. You know what I mean? She just like her staying on me about that was just like, I don't know. Like it just gave me this sense like, yo, you need to go do that. And like, the other thing too is that she was my girlfriend at the time, but my wife like was very much about it. You know what I mean? And she ended up training at a gym in Doylestown later on.
Yep.
And that really helped her. So,
dude, I'll tell you, what's crazy is that you talked about like watching Spike and seeing like Forrest Griffin, Stephen Bonner, everything like that. Like the guys that we've had on before with, JR and Isaac and everybody, they've talked about how they were watching UFC. So it's crazy to see like what the evolution of it, but the formula still stays the same.
Yeah.
Where it's like, you saw this and you're like, I want to learn that. Yeah. Right. And you were more like, those guys were more led towards the grappling side. You were more towards the striking. Right. I was the same way. Like you see that stuff. Plus too, what you're saying about like the girl, Jamie, what's her name?
Jamie Driver. Yeah.
Jamie Driver having like an air of confidence around her, dude. That's like, I mean, I think that 90% of people that come in here want that. That's what they're like striving for.
Pick that up. There's a certain way they carry themselves. And go, that's going to determine whether you're a victim or not a victim.
Yes. Yeah. You
can pick weakness up.
Yeah.
I agree. You can smell that from a mile away.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially when Dave Roberts is launching nuclear missiles at your face.
Yeah.
You're either going to learn to deal with that or you're not going to show up. So
Yeah, right.
Dude, someone said to him the other day in class, Dave, they're like, Dave, when are you going to be on the show? I was like, this guy would never be on it. Like, I was like, I'd love to have him, but he would not. Like, I know he wouldn't do it just because he doesn't, I was like, he's assassinated people. You want them to know?
Does not say much.
Yeah, he does a lot of
You gotta
speaking.
smile.
Yeah, he speaks with his fists most of the
Yeah.
time. Yeah. Dude, getting him to laugh, dude. I remember the first time I got him to laugh, I was like, I must be the funniest person alive.
You get a smirk.
Yeah.
And then he just goes about his business.
Yeah. But he's one of those too. It's like he has the air, you walk around like those people, they just are super confident in like that kind of thing you strive for. But
You ever watch his fights?
Oh, Dave? Oh, yeah.
Dave lived by the sword and died by the sword.
Yeah.
He went out to finish people.
Yeah.
Whether it be grappling or striking. I mean,
he was a total hunter.
I cornered most of his fights and had coached him through most of them. And, it was exciting. We always had game plans. We always had stuff. He was easy to train.
Yeah.
He showed up, he put the work in. Great athlete. He put the work in. But his mindset was he wasn't trying to outscore the person. You always know those guys that do that.
Oh, yeah.
He was going out there to finish. And hey, if he got caught himself, but he was going out there to end it, not,
those are the best guys to watch.
You watch his fights, win or lose, man, they were exciting.
Yeah.
And I was in the corner. I was like, oh my God, I just forget you're watching.
Yeah.
So.
Dude, those are the best ones to watch, like the Gotti War type of stuff, where they're not out there to outpoint you. They're out there to bang.
Yeah. He's a rarity. There's other people that tend to play more the sporty end of it. And that's their personality. So be it, whatever.
Yeah.
So,
okay, Josh. So when you started coming in, you said it was like 2015. You would watch like Spike and all that stuff. Did you have any training before you came in here, or was here the first place?
No, nothing today. This is the first place that I ever trained at. Yeah.
I would like, we've talked about it so many times on the show, Rich, the before and afters. Like, I remember when Josh, like, you had your long hair, right? Yeah. Yeah, you would, dude. Yeah.
It was just big, but yeah, like a creatine mass gainer shake, just some big
little,
chubby metal dude. Yeah. Just a chubby metal guy.
Sleep on stuff that soft.
Everybody, but that's how everybody
chiseled up.
Oh yeah, dude, like a freaking board of wood over here.
They had a munchkin. I'm good.
Yeah.
Saturday.
I do the same thing every Saturday. 5 munchkins, half a bagel with cream cheese.
Yeah.
Good to go.
Really?
Yeah, when I'm here, because I get here and I'm always fasted, and then I know there's always going to be
Something
that,
there,
and then I'm
right?
going to work out afterwards, so I don't care.
Yeah.
But you got to do it. Some of the kids do. They take the bagel with the cream cheese and then they put munchkins on it.
No, they're just getting a little.
These kids are geniuses.
Oh yeah,
genius.
Very good. I tried it.
We had a guy on the show the other day who said when he was depressed, his move was he would get Oreos, a jar of peanut butter, and a bag of M&Ms, and he would scoop the Oreo in the peanut butter and dip it in the M&Ms and then eat it. And I was like, bro, he's also 6'8", around 300 pounds. So he could, that was
put it away.
Yeah, he was. He had room to.
It almost sounds like a freaking menopause moment.
Yeah, man. You need your chocolate.
Put it in your feelings.
Yeah, how about it?
End of the month.
Yeah, yeah. So, but I remember when I first started coming here, I had this idea of like everyone, we've seen it a million times. Everyone, when they first start coming here, there's like two different things. Like they want to be respectful and like mindful of like things, but they're also thinking like they got to come in here and be top dog. You know what I'm saying? Where it's like, that's the wrong attitude to have to come in. When you came in, right? Like, I remember when I first came in, my whole idea was like, I just want to like embrace the learning part of it and look good doing it. You know what I mean? And I remember Rich was like, when he first saw me, he's like, what are you throwing? I was like, some things. And he's like, all right. But then when you first started coming in here, what was your first thoughts of like how to behave? Like, what were you thinking? Do you remember? Because dude, you're coming up with 8 years, man. Golly.
I remember him being very nervous.
Yeah. That's everybody.
Very like nervous and herky jerky. And
Yeah,
then you had Dan who was very like, what the hell?
Yep.
No.
I would love that when Dan would roast people on their. I was like,
he had no patience.
No,
he was not that guy that could deal with everybody.
Yeah.
Nope. I'm not even gonna help him.
Yeah. He'd give him like twice, and they didn't get. He's like, I'm moving on.
Yeah.
I'm not dealing with your bullshit.
Yeah.
But So when you first came in, what was your thoughts like? Because it is intimidating. It is intimidating the first time
it was
you
just
come in.
real stiff.
Yeah.
Took me a while to get out of that too.
That's everybody.
And
I got beat out of them.
Yeah. Yeah, that shit gets beat out of you for sure.
It did. Like literally it did. But at the same time I was just real stiff, and I remember I would come in even like filling out the paperwork and stuff, like I like missed stuff and I'm like, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing here. Like, what am I doing here?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I knew he knew right away. It was just like, he wants to do this. I don't know why. I can't tell why he's here, but he's here for a reason. You know what I mean? And even I remember even in training, like when I had my first fight coming up, people were like, do you want to do this? And I'm like, yeah, I want to do this, but it wouldn't show because it was just like,
you're so in your head.
I was so in my head. And like the other thing too, it's just like, I couldn't get past like a mental block for a while about like I wanted to walk this line of being confident and knowing like what I wanted to do, following my training, like doing what Dan tells me, expressing myself, whatever, right? And just not be a jerk off, but at the same time, like have that grit to where like, be like, okay, if you hit him hard, he's going to fucking hit you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
you want to be confident, but not cocky.
Yeah. Like and not to be a punching bag for anybody. And then at the same time, like not be a jerk off. Like I still find it like, where do you like walking that line is hard. You know what I mean? But at the end of the day, like this is about training, and especially because I'm interested in training people who want to fight, like, you know, it's a hard life, man. So you got to prepare hard.
Oh, that Spartan lifestyle. You have no idea what it's like until you do it.
Yeah.
It is. I mean, it's a miserable existence at times. It sucks.
The camp part of it.
Oh,
like
the
preparing.
camp.
Yes,
Camp
absolutely.
is
And it
the
should
worst.
be. You're there to showcase your skills. The fight shouldn't be the hardest part. It should be the training.
You and Harry, that was your saying. The fight's the night off.
Yeah.
That's your night off, is the fight night. You're out there to show.
You're out there to show, enjoy yourself. You put the work in, and you don't have to worry about all that stuff.
Yeah.
You know, if you're not putting the work in, they're the guys that are, 10 trips. Oh, you just wrap my hands. Can you stop? I got to go use the bathroom again.
Yeah.
Okay, buddy. You know what I mean? You're just a nervous wreck. And now his bowels are going nuts. You know?
Yeah.
So
that's, I mean, it is what it is. That stuff, it takes like, that's one thing where it's really rare someone walks in and they're into that. Like the experience plays a big part of that, like being involved. But Rich, when you see like people come in the gym, I don't know if I can pick them out now, Josh. I don't know if you can, but do you see like people that come in like, all right, they're lifers, like they're in here for the long haul, like they're gonna be here for a while? Like, did you think that when we first came in, or were you just like, look at these fucking stu-nots, you know?
I was just like, probably.
Because we were young, goofballs.
Once somebody passes about 3 years, and I go, okay, they're going to be around for a long while.
Yeah.
Like usually that 3 year.
Yeah.
So depending on the person, their background, you're going 1 to 3 years.
Yeah.
There's other people have come in, I've said 3 months.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Have you been wrong before? Where it's like,
I have been.
Okay.
I have been.
Rare.
It's rare.
Yeah.
But I've been wrong.
Yeah, you can tell those people that are done as soon as their contract is up. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah. Look, look, when you're constantly motivating them, and they're coming up with excuses.
Yep.
I sprained my toe.
Dude.
I hurt my finger.
Mm.
Like, I don't know. Anybody see my fingers?
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean?
They're not train hurt. If you're gonna train
I
hurt.
tape them
That's
up,
the name of the game.
and I went. I found reason. I cut cast off the train.
Yeah.
Whatever injury I had, I remember taking a portion of my toe off.
Yeah.
And that got sutured back on. And within a couple days, I was back on the mat training. And I remember putting my hooks in to move somebody, and I felt like a pop.
Yeah.
So one of the stitches had broke, one of the sutures, and it was actually starting to bleed again.
Oh.
I got off the mat. I put antiseptic on it. I wrapped that fricker back up, and I went back out and trained again.
Yeah.
And everyone was like, you should probably put shoes on. I'm like, no, I'm not wearing shoes.
Mm.
I'm going to get heel hooked all day long.
Yeah.
So, I just dealt with it. It wasn't, did it throb a little bit afterwards? Yeah.
Mm.
I made sure it didn't get infected, but I figured out a way to train with it.
Yeah.
They were telling me like, oh, you got to wait like 4 weeks. 4 weeks.
Yeah.
For this?
Yeah.
Mm.
I didn't even wait that long with my broken hands.
Yeah. Yeah.
Shove off. Actually had a couple beers when we cut that off.
Yeah. Right.
Whatever.
Yeah. It heals. Like it's coming back strong.
It was all about how I can get out and get training. I thought if I wasn't training, other people were.
Yeah.
Also, do you get that feeling too of like I like later in the day when you're like, you know what, I feel like lighter on your feet. You're kind of like mentally stronger. Like when you miss training, it affects you mentally as much.
Yeah, you have a shit day, man. It's like especially you just feel like you copped out or something. Especially when I'd be training all the time and I was trying to get better. I was here every day or whatever. I felt like like that little like 1 to 2%, you're like, at least I went and did something that gives you that little boost like for the next session. You know what I mean? Even if it's just like that 1%, you know what I mean? That
consistency.
Yeah.
More people tend to figure out ways not to train. Oh, I'm just burnt. Oh, I have the dumbest injuries I get. Yeah, the dumbest injuries. I know a finger injury hurts or a toe. Yeah,
it sucks. Get through
it up and go.
Yeah, especially
to me, it's not a serious injury. I've seen people have serious injuries and still be back on the mat in a week or two with a serious injury.
Oh yeah, life threatening.
Yeah, you know what I mean. So you know.
I'm with you. You know those people too, of like how many times also, and I'm sure you've heard it more, and I know we've heard it a bunch, talked about it, where like you know, at first, when I first started doing this and competing, like, yeah, I'd kind of tell people, but after a while, I don't want to tell anybody.
Yeah.
I don't want to tell anybody that I do this. If it comes up, I try to pass it off. Like, you don't want to bring it up. Before, you're like, yeah, I'm this. Like, you use that as a piece of your identity. But now I'm like, this is the last thing I want to talk about.
You get guys going out to the bar.
Oh yeah, dude, I don't want to.
And then they're sitting down and they're telling everybody and they're talking about it.
Yeah.
They're usually the person that's not really training that.
No, I was gonna say for sure that dude sucks.
They're all
they're talking the game. They're people that are doing it aren't really talking about it.
They don't want to. So because you live
around it all the time. You live it.
Exactly. I was gonna say, if for me, if we go out and watch fights on Saturday night, I was already at the gym for 4 or 5 hours that morning. I just want to watch the fights because they're going to be exciting and I want to watch them. But at the same time, like, I want to go watch the fights to see them and then really just go home and go to bed.
Yeah.
You
You're
don't want to be sitting there talking about it.
Yeah. When you're getting up early and training and like doing all that, like, you're not out to party and all like that's all those people are so full. And then also you have the Johnny jerk off that's like, oh, you box or you fight or whatever. And you're like, bro, shut your
look, there's somebody for him. And look, we have a couple here. I mean, they're more talking about what they're doing more than doing it. If they train twice a week, that's big for them.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
You know, when you're training 5-6 days a week, you don't want to talk about it.
No.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember people going, you overtrain, Rich. I'm like, what do you mean overtrain? It might be a day where I might not be able to train like this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I'm getting as much time as I can in.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Agreed.
And training as often and as long as I can.
Yeah.
As hard as I can.
Yeah.
Because there might be a time where, who knows, health-wise, I might only be able to train once or twice a week.
Yeah.
People
talk about it too, about like, like losing weight or getting in shape and all these things. It's like, they think it's like a gimmick thing you do for a little bit. It's like, no, if you really want to commit, it becomes a lifestyle.
Yeah, it's what you like to
it's
do.
your life. Like, if you miss it, it like messes with your day, right?
Yeah.
It's your fix. You got to get your fix.
They got to think of excuses on how to train, not to get out of training.
Yes.
And then they're going to find they're going to have more success.
Yeah. Even with striking, like a lot of times, like with grappling, since you're on the ground, there's so much more posting involved. Like if something else, like it's can be, I guess, like more difficult to supplement your training. But striking, my right hand hurts. I'm not going to train today. Then keep it on your face and use the other hand.
Yeah.
You have all these other limbs to use or whatever.
Yeah.
Somebody, I hurt my toe or whatever. Then knee them if your foot hurts.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it's just I'm like, that's like actually a good idea. I'm like,
get good at something else.
Why do I have to tell you that?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
you shouldn't have to argue for someone.
I think people, the toe and the finger injuries are always the worst.
Big time.
They always complain about it. That's the person that's going to whine and complain about it.
Mhm.
Yes, I get it. It hurts. It's
Mhm.
uncomfortable.
Mhm.
You can still do stuff.
Yeah.
There's always something you can do.
Yeah.
You know?
Or like when people are sparring, they're like, oh man, I need like a round off. I'm like, why? Did you hurt something? Like your nose broken? Wherever you bleeding from somewhere?
Yeah.
And they're like, no, I'm just really feeling it. I'm like, okay, that's good. So you can really feel when someone actually really tries to kick your ass to get in the ring. You know what I mean? Like, you might not have this luxury of being like, oh, I'm out in the street and this person's trying to like hurt me or whatever. Like, I need to take like a break off here. Why don't you train tired or train in like in an elevated state of mind? You know what I mean? Like, at least that's how I would look at it. Like,
that's when the best training happens.
Yeah,
you're absolutely right.
I don't know.
Yeah, it does take a while to develop like a style and like you're in like, dude, how many times have you thought like, especially early on, you're thinking like, oh, if I change this or if I start doing this, then my game will be like this. And then you try it and you're like, I was so goddamn wrong. You know what I mean? Like you have there's so much trial and error when creating like your own style and your technique that it's like, you have to go through that though, but that's part of it.
You mentally have to think about your training and that's when you're into it. You're into it when you're thinking about what you're doing or your next training session, how you're going to approach it, what you need to work on. That's how you're going to get better. If you don't, you're not going to get better.
Agreed.
If you're just going through the motions,
Agreed.
you're not mentally thinking about it, digesting it, you're just not going to get better.
And like we said, when it becomes part of your fix, right? Like the formula here, I think, and it's a great one. It's like, if you start here, you're starting with classes, right? And you do classes. Once classes become not enough to get your fix, then you move on to private training. And when private training becomes everything, then you can get into a camp. And then when you start getting into a camp, that's when you're ready for fights.
Well, put you in a group of guys that are at the same level doing the same thing. The classes are always going to keep you sharp, keep your basics sharp.
Yes.
Regardless of what you're doing, grappling or this.
Mm-hmm.
I've been in classes up in New York. You got multiple world champions.
Yeah.
In just a normal class.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They're not doing any specialized training, but after class, they probably are.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They're going.
They're putting in the extra.
Or doing, they're putting in the extra.
Yeah,
exactly.
Absolutely. They did their road work that morning, their calisthenics. And
I love the guys that just do the go, I'm just going to do private lessons. You know what I mean? Like, they're better than everybody else, and that's all they're going to do. Like, there's some people just because of their job, that's all they can do, and I get that.
Right.
They're not talking about competing.
Right.
You're talking about people that are talking about competing, and they're like, yeah, I'm beyond the classes. I need to go over all those fundamentals and basics anymore. I got them down.
Yeah.
They've been training for 2 years, and then all they're doing is going, hey, I'm doing privates like twice a week. That's all I need.
Yeah. No.
You're going to fall flat on your face.
Absolutely.
And 100%. Like the fundamentals are not going to be there for sure. That right away.
And you need other people too to push you, you know?
Oh, absolutely. You know what it is they pull themselves in their head. They justified, I'm better than that group. So I don't need that group.
Yeah.
I was going, how you can equalize things? I can get you really tired and put those people that you think are better than you with you. And you're going to see how good you really are.
Agreed.
You know what I mean? Because now you're tired. If you're that good, you should still be freaking.
Yeah, you should be able to whoop them when you're tired.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that changes things. I love those guys. You get them tired, and then I go, yeah, I'm going to put this guy on your back, or I'm going to put him on it. All of a sudden, they ain't getting out. I'm exhausted. If you're that good, and your technique should be impeccable. You should be getting out, no problem at all.
Agreed.
Right?
So you think about it, they're kind of just creating like a safe space. For themselves.
Well, that's what it is. They've justified everything in their head with their whole 2.5 years of experience.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. And the name dropping, you get those. They that's a red flag right there. Yep. They start, oh yeah, I know this guy. Oh yeah, I trained with that guy. I did this, I did that.
Yep.
Cool. All the before you know, the resume looks like an encyclopedia, and you're like, how old are you? Like what?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. You just they create this fantasy land. People around them that don't know 100%, they know they train, buy into it. That feeds that group. That ego comes in, and before you know it, they get in over their head. Yeah. You know what I mean? And that is just, instead of just keeping quiet, just training, but everything's justified through that person. Yeah. I remember someone saying a long time ago, you can't fix those people. They could get in there. They could be boxing for 2 years, get in the ring with Mike Tyson. He puts an ass whooping on them, but they lasted 10 seconds longer than they were supposed to. It doesn't matter for they justified it. I was only supposed to last 10 seconds. I lasted 20. They justify
moral victory.
A moral victory.
Yeah.
So you can't think like they think.
Yeah.
And you have to have the ability to look introspectively too, where it's like, hey, I'm not that good at this right now. I want to be, but I'm not that good at this.
Means you're going to get your ass kicked a lot. You're going to get a lot of humble pie, and that should be good.
Those guys end up being like, that is the truth, where it's like the coal turning into the diamond. You know what I'm saying? Like, look, like we bring up Dental Bill all the time. He was one. Josh, you're another, man. Like when you started here, like I remember, like it's not like you were Joe shit the rag man, right? You were an athlete, but you came in and like everything was different, and it's so many little steps of like growing here, learning this, thinking you have this figured out, and then abandoning that and starting over and then doing it the right way, right? Like there's so much of that coming up.
People that fall short are the ones that are they're arrogant and dumb. And that's the worst combination you can have. Stupidity and arrogance.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You can't fix that, and that's what it is. Whereas if you come in and you're a little nervous, but you're humble, you're going to be fine.
Yes.
And then you find that fine line between being confident and cocky.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
There's definitely, it's a balancing act, right? You want to be overconfident where you go, I freaking slept on this guy, and he ended up putting an ass whooping on me.
Yeah, it looked like a dum-dum.
But you don't want to also seem weak to where, someone's going to go, oh, yeah, I can walk on them.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So there's always that kind of that that fine line that you walk.
Yeah.
Like, hey, you cross this boundary, I'm going to put it back on you. You know what I mean?
Yeah. You got to be the boss. You got to learn to be the boss. That's the truth. So when you were starting up, though, Dan was coaching the kickboxing. Dan Schmedberg, shout out, fan of the show, listen to the show. Love Dan. But when you started, right, like, do you remember the progression of, like, did you have a goal when you very first started of where you wanted to go, and what was that goal, and when did you reach it?
So when I first started here, I just wanted to do everything. I was doing privates with Rich, I think like twice a week. And then I was doing all the kickboxing classes and all the gi classes. And I was taking your class a lot too. Like, I think I was literally doing everything I possibly could. I told him, like, he's like, well, what are you looking to do? I'm like, I don't know. I'm just going to do everything. Like, I want to just want to train. Yeah, I'll figure it out.
You find your specialty.
So then once I started training with Dan, and I always think of this whenever I think of like my first time training with Dan. I walked in and he's like, you're from Muay Thai? And Dan's Grumpy Dan. And
he's like, let me see it. Let me see what you have. Show me your stance.
He walks up and he's like, did you do anything before? And I'm like, no. And he's and
Dan wasn't the best with somebody brand new.
But like a sunshine.
He was just a trainer, but he just
incredible trainer.
Yeah.
Incredible. But I think, but that was also part of his gimmick where patience wasn't in his bag, so he forced you to get it right.
You don't want to be yelled at.
I just had like a thing where it's when training, like with him especially, like he got it out of me to where I would show up here, I'd listen to what he would do, and I just didn't want to disappoint him. You know what I mean? I didn't want to disappoint him. And like I think I knew that I was really fighting, like literally fighting to, like, not for Dan's like attention. Like, it wasn't like that. It was more for Dan's respect, for him to put his time into me.
Correct.
And like it came to a point where I was paying Dan for lessons. I always did pay, like, whatever he wanted. You know, if he told me, I wouldn't have cared. I just paid him whatever he wanted. And then one day I asked him, I'm like, hey, you want to work this Saturday? I went to go hand him money, and he was just like, I'll see you on Saturday. And Dan never ever charged me for pad work again. Like, after that, you know what I mean?
He earned his respect. And look, Dan, if you were paying him or not, if he felt like he's putting time into you, he's giving you the info
so much,
and you're not getting better, he'd be like, you know something, I can't work with you anymore. It didn't matter. The money didn't matter.
No,
the money. It wasn't about the money.
The crap.
It was about, are you getting better? I'm putting time into you. If you're not showing that effort and giving me that respect, I'm putting time into you. Even though you're paying me, I'm putting extra time into you too. It's not like it's an hour session. They could be an hour and 15, hour and a half. And I do it the same with my people. But if I feel like you're not getting better, it's not about the money at that point. It's about, you're not respecting what I'm showing you, and you're not drilling it. You're not moving forward. I'm going to get somebody that, my time's valuable. I'm going to get somebody that wants that time and respects that time.
You taught me that. That was a big lesson I had to learn, where I was giving out privates willy-nilly, and like, you know, they would be like, whatever, but you were like, you have to respect your time. If this person isn't willing to commit to you, do not commit to them. Because that's not fair. Not fair to either of you.
Nope.
But especially not fair to you.
It's you both have to commit. And that's what I tell people when they talk about even coming here. Like, why do you have contracts? I said, because if you're not willing to commit, why should we commit to you? There has to be some type of commitment on both ends, and then you're gonna move ahead. But without that, you can only be the new guy for so long.
For sure.
You're 6 months down the road, you can't be like, oh, I'm still the new guy. No, you're not. You're here 6 months. You should be at this level within 6 months of your training 3 times a week, right? And if you're not, well, you can't. I wouldn't want to have you as a partner.
No,
you know what I mean. So I have somebody brand new coming in. You're going to be with the brand new guy, and then they feel like they should be with the guy that's been training for 2 years, even though they've been training for 6 months and once a week. So that's where I kind of start justifying things.
Oh, big time.
I don't want that person in here because I wouldn't want to have to be their partner.
You
know, they need to commit and put the time in like they said they were going to. Look, once you hit a certain level and you have that foundation, that's something different. You know, but that takes 2 to 3 years. Of consistent training. Then, hey, look, you're getting in once a week, but you still have that foundation. I could put you with anybody. You could partner up with anybody. You can work with anybody at that point, right? You have a good, solid base. You might lack a little bit, your cardio time might be off, but regardless, other than that, a week or two back in the saddle, and you're back where you're at. But you can't do that your first year or two training. You know?
No. Plus, I mean, you're not, you're absolutely right. And like, I'm like, the other thing is too, and I've fallen victim to this, where people come in and they try to be like your buddy right away. And you're like, dude, you don't get like, I'm not going to be your buddy till you earn it.
I thought about this shit the other night, and I don't remember what it was that triggered my brain, but there was some kid that came in and he was like, I like a wannabe type of YouTube guy, something like that. Like, and this was earlier on. I remember maybe like 16, 17. I don't think I'd had my first fight yet.
Okay.
And you were training, this kid took the boxing class. You punked this kid out like so subtly. You were standing on the edge of the ring over here. And this kid comes up and he's like, hey man, like that class was great. Like, but it's like overdone, like kind of thing. And I'm like, almost like he's acting like he's on camera or something.
Yeah.
And I look and he's like standing there like this, like taking a video of himself. And you're like, all right, man, yeah, cool, like thanks, like, you just being you, like whatever, I'm gonna go hit the bag or something. And like the kid is standing, he's like, yo, can I like let me get a selfie with you real quick? And you're like, what? He just like looked at the kid, and the kid's like, yeah, let me get a selfie. You're like, first night, bro? And it was just like, it was almost like kissing a girl on the first date or something, you know what I mean? That kind of like thing of like, yo, like it's not like that. Remember you were just like, no, and you just kind of walked away from the kid, and the kid was like all dumbfounded because I guess everybody plays nice.
Never came back in, right?
Nope, never saw him again.
Yep.
But it was just, I don't know.
I didn't mean to scare him away, but
no,
bro,
you
it's
didn't
your
scare him
first
away.
night.
No.
Fuck off.
No, yeah.
Like, I'll be good to you. Like, I'll train you as much as you want, but you got to earn the buddy thing. Like, like time investment. Like, if you look at a guy too, like we were talking about Big Greg, right? Greg Wilco. I'll invest all the time into that son of a bitch because he
here.
Works.
You don't have to say anything. He's already
he's working.
First one here, last one to leave.
Yes.
And you can't ask for anything more than that,
dude. No,
great attitude,
nice
with everybody that comes in. But the guy
trains like a son of
doing
a bitch.
the selfie right from the get go and everything, he's showboating.
Yeah, agreed. I was like, you don't want to be in here for like it's a journey that you come on in here, and you want to end the journey like before you start.
And I'm not putting like my stamp of approval on like, hey, this kid's cool. Look at this guy's shit that it's on Instagram. Like I approve this.
You know what I mean? Go down to another gym and do that.
But it's also like the gym's name is involved in that as well. Like, right? We're representatives of this place, even when we leave here.
That'll be the guy that 5 years down the road, his buddy comes like, yeah, my friend trained with you. So you probably know him. And I'm like, no, I have no idea.
Never.
That doesn't even ring a bell.
Yeah.
He said he boxed with you or, did jujitsu or kickboxing.
Okay.
Like, I have no idea who you're talking about.
Yeah.
And I know who my students are or who they were. If they were with me a decent amount of time, and then you start, and then they'll come back to me and go like, oh yeah, he said he only trained for a week.
No shit. No, that's so right. All right, so Rich had to take off, so me and Josh are going to finish up here. So Josh, you're coming in. I remember we talked about this earlier. One of my first goals when I started here is that, like, you see the people training you, that's a goal. Like, you eventually want to be on that level, right? And I remember the first time Rich asked me to take over class, I was like, like you said it too, honored. I was like, oh yeah, God, yeah, dude, of course. So do you remember? Did you have that goal, and do you remember that time?
Yeah, I remember big time the first time that Dan had asked me to cover class for him. He slick brought it up too, because Dan knew how much that would mean to me. You know what I mean? Or like, he didn't really feed into a lot of that. He was very subtle about that. Like when you even just getting any props from Dan was always a subtle thing,
Made you want it even more though.
Yeah. So like, but it couldn't be this like attention seeking, like daddy syndrome kind of shit. You know what I mean? You had to come like respect. Like it's about the sport. This is about craft. Being better and about the sport. It's not about like fixing your life necessarily. Whatever you do that shit on your own. But yeah, when he asked me to teach class, man, that it blew me away because I was like, wow, like I guess that I've become that educated enough. You know what I mean? Like, and if he sees me that way, then like. Other people must see me that way too. You know what I mean? Because
he wouldn't put that confidence in you unless he thought you were able to. Agreed. I do the same thing. Yeah. I would do the same thing. And then right after that, right, when you started teaching classes, were you doing privates at the time, or did you start to do privates after that?
Oh no, like me personally doing
no, like doing privates with Dan.
Oh
like
yeah,
okay.
Yeah,
so you had already been doing private. So he knew. He knew like you had been ready.
Yeah.
And he was ready to pass the torch because no one wants to fucking be here on Saturday. Dude, I remember my schedule before, right? Like, dude, I did this for years. It was Tuesday, 10 a.m. or so Monday night, right? 7 to 8. Tuesday, 10 a.m. to 11 was the class. Wednesday, it was 7 to 8, right? Thursday, 10 to 11. And then I had Saturday morning class, which was at like 10:40, 10:30 or something, right? That was my schedule. And I did that probably for like 6 years.
Yeah.
Right. And it fucking sucked. But I was working nights mostly. So like I couldn't do, I think Thursday nights was the only night I couldn't do, but I would teach I teach Monday and Wednesday. And then we used to have sparring on Friday night. So I was literally like always here. And I did that for years, dude.
Yeah,
Years.
I mean, my schedule at this point is basically just teaching wise and like lessons. Monday night, I have like a 5, 6, and a 7. Tuesday, 4:30, 5:30, and then both classes. Wednesday, probably a 5, 6, and 7 again. Thursday, 5:30, and then class. Friday nights, I do pads, and then I hit pads myself. Saturday, 8:30 until 1 o'clock when kickboxing's over. So I have all privates, and then but hey man, like you have to do this if you want to get better at it. Like being a trainer is a skill too. Like they're great fighters, or like shit trainers though. You know what I mean? Like and like that's no like knock on them, it just doesn't work, you know what I mean? Or like they don't have the patience, or like just a certain mindset, or like also, care.
Yeah, you know? And like you do need to care. Like you do need to care about teaching people the right way, because any Joe shit the ragman can hold mitts and make it look good. Like I've seen like personal trainers that don't know anything, like hold mitts and people punching it fast. I'm like, dude, that looks awful.
Yeah, it looks awful.
Right. Yeah. So like you really need to work on the craft and like be patient with people. Also, and I remember talking to JR about this. How much more did you learn when you started teaching? Right.
My game went through the roof when I started teaching.
Roof.
Big time. Like, because the other thing too, like I really started to think of right away, like when I took over, when Dan like handed the program to me. Yeah. Was like, I can never hit the bag like shit again. No, I can't hit the bag like shit,
bro. You are on such are on such a pedestal that everything you have to do is crisp, and especially for early on. Like I remember when I started teaching early on, everyone questions you. So like I was constantly thinking of like, all right, if I show this, people are gonna ask this, this, and this, and what are my answers to this? Right. And like you do build your encyclopedia of knowledge off of that, like off of people's questions and like what they show you and what they ask and everything like that. But it is like I'm with you where it's like people will question you, but you do need, like, you are thinking of like this, but you're on such a pedestal of like, all right, you got it. And I remember I told you when you first started, I was like, you have to be the alpha of the class, right? Like you have to set a tone. You don't need to be Johnny and Hard Nuts, right? No. And my style and yours as well is like, if someone, say if we're doing like a calisthenic and it's push-ups for a minute and the person stops doing push-ups for it's like 7 seconds left, you question their strength of like, bro, it was 7 seconds. Yeah. Like you couldn't have held out for 7 seconds. Yeah. You're not that tough. Like get mentally stronger. And I think that's the type of teaching in this sport, at least, where that's where you see real growth. When you're telling them like to question your own toughness, question your own mental stability, right? Because it's like, you have to do it. I can't do it for you. Yeah. I can show you, but I can't do it for you.
Oh yeah. I mean, teaching is very much leading them to the water. You can't force them to drink them. You know what I mean? Like bring the horse to water, man, but you can't force it to drink. And that's the main thing with training. Like, and how I describe like when I'm training people, especially when I've been putting the pressure on some of these younger dudes that, you know, wanted to fight and stuff, or have been asking me like, I want to fight. I'm like, okay, put that off for like a year and we'll see how you feel. Like literally that's exactly what I did, because I needed more time myself to make sure that I'm going to have the security going forwards. Right. You know what I mean? Like that I've got everything set up the way that I want it. Yeah. And like what I saw, like, and what did work and what didn't work and what failed, like in the gym, as far as like gaining confidence or whatever you're working on, you know what I mean? So like I wanted to set myself up correctly too, and then see how badly some of these kids really want it. Yeah. Because fighting's no joke. You see it in here. I see like, you know, sparring sessions online of other gyms where they're getting these kids ready for fights and stuff like that. And fighting is fighting. Some of these people getting involved in this nowadays, like it's just like, you got to remember, even on an amateur level, you know what I mean?
There's
like
killers out
there. You're going to rip your head off, dude. Yeah. Especially like MMA, there's 1,000,001 ways to win. So that becomes a different thing. But if you're just striking sports or whatever, like
kickboxing, boxing,
there's kickboxing, boxing, full rules Muay Thai, like there's like you can't make anything else happen except staying on your feet and figuring it out. I mean, it like striking is a dangerous end of things. So if you're going to be like if you're gonna have that mindset, like, hey, like I want to fight, and it'd be like, okay, like it should be, hey, I want to kick this dude's ass. You know what I mean? And it has to be that way. Like there can't be any like there can't be any softness in that. Like you've got to be ready to rip.
It took me a while to develop this like type of mindset where you're in there, right? You need to think like you're an assassin and you want to hurt someone. Like you need to like, and I'm, I don't mean to be crass, but you need to almost like get your rocks off on hurting someone. Like you need to embrace the pain, and like you kind of need to like pain in a way as well. Like I don't mind it, like, so, knock on wood, like it's been a while, but like, if you can work, then you're like, all right, hey man, like if you get hit or something, you're like, you take it, but you want to give it, like it just turns something on that makes it want to give it back more. And that's something like you can have a little bit of that, but you need to almost sharpen that where it's like, before you're just swinging because you want to hit something and do whatever. But now it's like you want to mentally pick someone apart with your stuff and like set up this and set up that, right? And it becomes more of like a chess match of pain, right? Is that kind of the thought you're at?
Yeah, especially for me, having good examples. We mentioned Dave in the beginning. I mean, everybody knows that he's real high up in my book, and
should be.
I like, and in full honesty, I probably wouldn't be the same person I am today had I not been training with him. And like, that's 100% real. And I don't even know if he'd give a shit about that, but
he does. He comes off as, the silent, but he cares.
No, Dave's cornered me for every one of my fights, man. Like he's always been there for me, but I mean, I hold him in a real high regard like that. I mean,
he's a total teammate, man. He's a total teammate. But from what we might joke around about him being a client, but he's a total teammate and he's a locker room guy for sure.
Oh yeah, for sure. And it just him being the size that he is, not a big person. You know what I mean? Just it totally flipped your whole entire like, I'm 6 feet tall, like type of guy, like type of attitude. You know what I mean? Like training with him definitely just rearranged my whole shit.
Yeah. He's a killer, man.
Yeah, and it's like I mean, I do have him to thank a lot for the example that like he gave me, and him and Dan like together were a really great team, and working with you too, as far as like you were always like a good big up for me. Like if I was feeling down and we would hit mitts, I just always felt so much better. Like it's not that you gave it to me like sideways or anything, or you lied to me about anything. You just made me realize like you are like good at this. You know what I mean? Like Dan and Dave were like a hardening aspect for me. Like Dan was really hard to deal with as far as like, you need to get this shit right like now, or I'm not going to pay attention to you. And Dave would just be like, if you don't fucking keep your hands up, I'm going to hit you real fucking hard. So you remember to keep your hands up. You know what I mean? And like, but working with you was like a different level where it was like, you need to be hard to deal with me. You know what I mean? You got to put your mind in like I want to see like your whole commitment, but like, I know I can see it in you. So it's like the balance of like the three of you guys always just really like, I couldn't ask for anything more. You know what I mean?
Appreciate
and like, just like, the true level of professionalism too that Dave like brought to the table. It's just everyone says the same thing about him. I've seen other people like make comments on Instagram or something about him or whatever. There'll be a picture with him and someone will say like, this was years ago, but somebody posted a picture. I don't know if it was the gym or whatever. And just some random dude said something like, oh man, dude was a savage. You know what I mean? And just like everybody said the same thing about him. Like, that dude is a killer. You know what I mean? Oh yeah. And just like, I haven't seen him put gloves on in a long time, but I'm sure he'd handle everybody if he did. And
you get to a point where like that's where you want to be, but those are the guys you chase, and like you'll be chasing forever in a way, because it's the idea of him, like the idea of being that type of fighter is what you chase, and you're there, man. You're on that level. I've seen it, and you've been doing great things. But let's talk about your first fight. Right. Okay. So how old were you? What year did it happen? And what was your mental state going into that?
I was 26.
Did I card Eddie on? No, that was like your third fight, I think. When
Hamburg night where we both won.
Yeah, I cornered for Eddie.
Was my third or fourth one.
Okay.
Third or fourth fight.
Yeah.
Hamburg. But my first one was just at like a high school gym in Pottstown.
Okay.
This mom and pop
into there, like, man.
Dude,
like boys clubs, high school gyms. Yeah. Oh my god, dude.
So like it just like it was like total high school. You just walk back there and it just smelled like BO and Axe and like leather from like your gear and stuff, and everybody's back there. Yeah. Funny story.
Did you have to share the same locker room as the guy you were fighting? Or
no, I did. They had two separate ones. Yeah.
That is the most awkward thing.
That was my last fight. We're all just in this big room. And like this weird like sectioned wall down the middle, like, and they're just like warming up on one side, warming up on there, and like everybody's poking through the thing. Like,
dude. Oh yeah. Dude, that dude, when, at the casino, that's how they'd set it up. You don't get a room. They just have like a piece of cloth in between.
Yeah,
You're
just
like,
a big
oh,
room.
what the
Yeah, like an expo room or something like that, and they just put a thing down the middle and some whatever.
Yeah.
But my first one, no. So I'd never cut weight before in my whole entire life. Didn't know like anything about that really.
The worst.
And Dan was like, "How's your weight?" And I'm like, "It's this." And he's like, "You need to weigh less." I'm like, "All right, I'll figure it out." Like, so I remember just layering up and sweating. Like, I think it just went. I can't remember now. I don't know if I came in here and hit the bag or something or what. Like, I don't know. Remember, I was having a lot of nerves. Like, I was really nervous.
Oh, for sure, for sure. You beat like the toughest thing about the fight is not, in my mind, at least for me, was not beating myself mentally before it.
Oh, dude, I've never fought anybody else in there more than I fought myself, and that's 100% real.
Dude, I remember like I'd won a fight. Right. But I was so upset afterwards because I had people there and I wanted to knock him out. And I didn't, but I won the fight. But I looked like I had lost because I was so upset with myself mentally, where it's like, don't be so stupid. Right. Go out. Like, a win is a win.
Yeah.
You win, you win. But if you don't knock the guy out, it's not the end of the world.
No.
You know?
Yeah, I mean, if you won, you won. Especially like the main thing I think, even with training with Dan or whatever, is like, even if you lose, if you look like you could have won, then like, not saying, oh, it's like a moral victory, but Dan's shit was pretty. And Eric, his trainer before that, Eric's shit was really pretty. You know what I mean? And like you want it to be aggressive. Like, it's Muay Thai, it's kickboxing, it's a dick measuring contest right here in front of each other. You know what I mean? That's like literally what it is. But like, you should look graceful while you do it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's just like boxing is real pretty too, and it depends. Like some of those fights, like boxing fights, I feel like can go either way. Whereas like kickboxing and Muay Thai is like just so brutal, like with the stand like right in front.
Yeah,
and, you know, especially like
just trading. You're just trading.
Yeah, and then like there's something so beautiful about that too. Like in retrospect, you know what I mean? I mean, so many people would watch and they'd be like, "What the fuck are you talking about?" But, yeah, like yeah, so you wanted to look good. You wanted to make a good representation of yourself. Dan was never psyched on the people that looked like shit but won. No. And he was not like about that. You know what I mean? But like yeah, I mean, that was the biggest thing for me. It's just I always wanted to look decent no matter what. So even going into my first fight, which this sucked too. I remember going to another mental thing is they had me as 0-1 and I'd never made a fight yet. They fucked up the thing in the beginning and they put me as like, I should have been 0-0 and they put me like 0-1. And my dickhead training partner, Joe Cole, shout out, looks at me and goes, hopefully that's not a premonition. And just like giggles about him, like looks at me in the face. I remember Dan and I turning and looking at him and he just got up and laughed. Dude. But like, yeah, I did end up losing that fight. I was whooping that kid's ass for like 2.5 rounds. And then waited the last 30 seconds, got tired, big adrenaline dump in the last thing, backing up, crossing up my feet. Kid stepped in with a big right hand and got me. They stopped the fight because of it. I mean, I got right up and made the count and stuff, but I didn't put my hands on my face. So the ref like was just like, oh, he must be banged up, you know.
Suck dicks, man.
Yeah, I mean, it was. I don't think Dan was upset about it, but at the same time, we went right in the locker room. I remember Dan was cutting my gloves off. And he's like, you won that fight. Yeah. He was like, the ref gave him that fight. He's like, you would have finished that fight. You were 20 seconds away from it. I know exactly what happened. You had your hands down and you kept nudging him like, I'm good. He's telling you to put your hands on your face. But he's like, you're looking right through him at the kid in the corner. You're just like, I just need to get finish the job. Right there. Yeah. And yeah, it was what it was, man. You know what I mean?
Dude, but that's why that's the experience part of fighting like in the amateurs. Like, you need experiences like that. I remember one time I had a fight where in the first round I knocked the kid through the ropes, right? With the head body 2, right? Head body 2, knocked him through the ropes, but didn't finish him, right? And then I ended up losing that. And Rich told me is the reason I lost that, even though I destroyed the kid. Like, I won the fight. There was no question. Yeah. Right. And they said they did that to me as part of a punishment because I should have finished him in the first round. Right. And I was like, they can do that. And he's like, oh yeah, USA boxing sucks. You know? Oh yeah. Like, I remember like, amateur
boxing is rough.
Oh, it's the worst.
Yeah. And
so corrupt.
Especially when you come from an MMA gym, those like nobody wants to get boxed up by a guy from an MMA gym, dude. You know what I mean? So it's like it happens. But I remember Rich telling me about that, how hard it was to like get Jordan and guys amateur boxing fights in the beginning. Awful. Yeah, to try to get you to take them seriously. They hate us. An MMA gym. Yeah, they hated us. They hated us. Like we've like USA Boxing absolutely like I would like when Harry, because they didn't like Harry either, but they couldn't do anything because Harry was like the biggest boxing star in the area. Yeah, right. So when we Showtime and stuff back then. Oh, HBO, Showtime. He fought on all, man. Yeah. He was a major title holder. Yeah. So, but either way,
like they couldn't do much because he'd be like, shut up, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, because of Terry,
Yeah.
right? But like even afterwards, like when I would corner for people and they'd still hold it against us, like they did not like. So I would too. Sometimes I'd be like, damn, I should just put another gym name on here, you know what I mean?
Right.
But
like Lavelle boxing, you sneak it in there or
yeah,
something. Yeah, I'm
yeah.
sure.
But
Yeah.
whatever, it happens. So okay, so you learn from like the first couple fights, right? And then things start getting to training. When did you feel like? Because I remember when I felt like a mental growth as well as a physical of like, like I think like what you need, like when you like like there's when you first start, you're like pointing people, like you can win on points, but then when you develop like a punch where you can drop someone if it lands correctly, right? Like once you start developing that type of style and that type of punch, right? Like your mental game goes up. Do you remember when that happened, or that area, like that you came into that area of your training?
I remember I started just watching a lot of film in the beginning. I was just watching film, like what are these guys like? Because I come from playing music, so I would always like, basically in a way, I was studying film when I would watch like technique videos from guys.
For
and stuff.
sure.
And my generation was like right when YouTube started blossoming.
For sure.
So like everyone was putting like all these guitar videos and stuff on YouTube, and I would sit there every day after school and like, oh, this dude did a how-to on how to play this song or whatever, and I'd sit there and I'd figure out and I'd pick up this dude's technique from this, and I'd be like, oh, I like when this guy does this, or like, oh, there's like this Jimi Hendrix video or whatever. Like, I'm not super huge into classic rock, but like he does some cool shit. So I'm going to watch this guy's breakdown as Jimi Hendrix and just try to pick up little things. And I remember the one time, like, as far as like speaking about like a solid technique, I saw this dude, Nicky Holskin.
You love that guy. You would show me his stuff all the time.
Yeah. I remember watching Nicky Holskin fight, and I was just like, there's something about like that. That's a different thing. Like this, like one, like situational awareness for kickboxing, like with his hands, like his boxing, like, awareness in a kickboxing format is some of like the best and the prettiest like flowing combinations you've ever seen. And still insanely effective too. Like he's like an assassin. And he has the nastiest liver punch like that you've ever seen, like in kickboxing. Like a super nasty liver punch. Like he would set it up with all these lacy combinations. Like he would throw like an 8 up the middle and then hit the liver and they block, and then just rip a nasty 3 upstairs, follow with the 8 again, and just be like, there's really lacy, like dribbling type of combinations, you know what I mean? And I remember I was like, dude, I want to punch people's livers out. Like that liver shot of his is disgusting. Like it's absolutely insane. So I remember just coming in here and just, still to this day, if I feel like I'm up Shit's Creek and I'm in over my head or whatever, that's the first thing I go to. I'm gonna rip this dude's liver and get him off of me, because I know for a fact if that thing lands, I'm gonna hurt you. You know what I mean? So like, that was the biggest thing I think right away. And also my switch kick. There was a couple of things, like Dan and I focused on my switch kick a lot in the beginning. So there were certain things, just my lead side initially, definitely, and then since then until I've really developed my straight right hand, that was like that was always like a unicorn for me. My straight right would just always bother me. I could never get it right. And then eventually I developed that too, which I really, really believe in that now. But I think if I had one solid technique in the beginning, it would be low kicks for sure, low kicks too, and liver punch, which goes together great too. You know what I mean? So liver punches and low kicks were definitely my biggest thing in the beginning, where it's like, I don't know what to do right now, pop, pop, and I would just hit that combo every time.
We've talked about it all the time, where it's like, you can't think about it. You think about it, it's too late, right? Where it's like you need your body to react, and when you're in there and you're thinking, what should I do? Throw this, you know? So that's kind of like your thing. So, okay, let's talk about this a little bit, though, because we are coming close to the top of time. I remember when I met my wife, I was still training pretty consistently, and I had it in my mind of maybe taking another fight or doing Olympic trials or something like that, right? And I was single at the time, so it was a lot easier to train all the time too. You know what I mean? So, but when you get, I remember when I got, started dating my wife, she was like, "Hey, if you want to be with me, like there's some things you have to change, like no more fighting, get a job in an office, get like 401k benefit, like all that kind of shit. You know what I mean?" But she was just like, "Hey, if I want a family with you, but we can't have a family when you're bartending and fight, it's like, get it from life, And I was like, you're not wrong. So either way, plus two, like I had enough, I remember the one year I had 6 fights in 1 year, and it trained me, dude. It killed me. So, but either way, so for you, and we don't have to get too much into it, but your wife, I mean, she is awesome. Shout out to her. Love her. She is your rock, bro. But what kind of stuff would you say, like, how is being with a woman that fully supports like what you're doing and your commitment to the game, right? Like, how has that helped in your growth as a kickboxer?
Big time, because yeah, like anything else, me and her have been through a lot, and
sure.
I do have a bit of OCD, hyperfixation with things that I really get into. Like, I have passions, I don't have hobbies. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
not a bad thing.
And I'm not a half in, half out, like, or a gray area type of person. Like,
right.
I don't think anybody would ever say anything about that to me. Like,
no.
I do everything at 100%, and Dan would always like tell people that too. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
you're committed.
Yeah, like, I spar the same way. I don't, like, you know what I mean? It's just, I'm a heavy spar. Like, I don't mean to hurt people. Like, it's not like my
but
thing,
you're
whatever,
training,
but I'm training to like
training to go. Yeah.
And like, she knows that about me, so she always gets like, when I start to get into something, she'll give me that look like, oh no,
like, what
you know
what I
mean? Yeah, like, I have to watch what I get into, because if it's a game or it's a skill that like you have to put time into, but the chase is like the biggest thing for me.
Yeah.
And she knows that, but there have been points where that has gotten in the way of our relationship, as far as like my commitment to stuff like that. But we've come out on the other side of a lot of things just over time, like people do. And she still to this day, like 100% supports me. And I mean, even that being said, USK is coming in October, and they're going to be in Hatfield, baby.
Yeah.
So
nice.
We're going to get one in, and yeah,
I'm excited.
Definitely put a big one together for the hometown. So everybody show up and support your guy.
Love it. We'll have it there. When is you?
They're targeting somewhere around October 14th. So they didn't get approval 100%. They're gonna let me know.
Nice. But we'll have you back on the show so we can promote it before then.
Absolutely. Yeah. So she I apprehensively brought it up because it becomes one of those sensitive things when things like cause you trouble, and I'm already here all the time as it is. But she's still like, she's so down for me, man. And I don't know what I would do without her, to be honest. Like, she being on this journey with me, it's helped our relationship. She knows that this has helped me be the much better version of me that I could ever been without this place. And having her in your corner, like literally, like actually having her in your corner on a daily basis, that means a lot to me. So
dude, the commitment and love of like a great woman, it cannot be understated. Like the support, like your wife's support that she gives you, you can't quantify that, and like how grateful you actually are.
No, I'd never be able to actually tell her, you know what I mean? And even when I brought that up to her, you know what I mean? Like, as far as, the October card and stuff like that, she was like, yeah, I knew we were going to have this conversation. I saw it online.
Yeah.
I'm like, because I had like, it's all like, I'm like holding my breath about it a little bit. You know what I mean? She's like, yeah, I knew. Yeah. Like the amount of things that you bring up to your wife, that she goes, yeah.
Yeah.
And you're just like, you're like, all right.
Yeah. Well, I mean, hey man, she loves you, brother.
Yeah,
she's
she
in
does.
your corner, so
you
can't
really,
ask.
really does.
You can't ask for more than that.
Yeah.
So we are coming towards the top of time. What do you got to say to all your fans listening? And then, what are your plans for the future, brother?
Well, yeah, I mean, parenthood is going to be around the corner for me soon, and I'm super excited about that.
Awesome,
I always like wanted to set myself up to make that decision, because a lot of people in my family like didn't. It was
made for them. Yeah.
And
it's a decision made for them. Yeah.
That's what we're doing.
All right, well, this is happening.
So that's the biggest thing for me right now, is I'm going to be pursuing parenthood, and I'm excited about it. And I feel
you're going to be a great parent, man. You're going to be a great dad. It's the best thing in the world. Literally, that's the greatest thing you could ever happen to you. It's the best.
And the other thing too is I'm more than 1,000% confident in the person I'm doing it with too. You know what I mean? And more than anything, I just want to say that I do love my wife with my whole heart, and she means everything to me.
Love it, man. That's a great message.
Without being, without, I wouldn't. I know it's so stereotypical, but we've built everything together. I've been with her since I was 19, and I'm going to be 32 in 2 weeks.
Dude, stereotypes don't come out of nowhere, man. Yeah, like that's true. It's so true.
And I just, and she trains herself too. By the way, you try to take my wife's purse, she will you up.
Yeah, I've seen it. I've seen it.
So that's the main thing for me. And then, I'm going to get a couple more fights in just so I can continue to be a better coach. You know what I mean? As much as I can. But parenthood is going to be the biggest thing to me. So the chips are going to lay where they're going to lay with competing. I want to get on the other side of that and and give myself some performances that I'm absolutely happy with. So those are the main thing, is just, to pursue my career as much as possible outside of the gym. And, just to be there for my family more than anything, is to be there for my wife and cultivate like a good life for us together. That means to me more than anything. But I want to put it on somebody in October, and I'm gonna somebody up,
dude.
So
I know
that's
you will,
the main
man.
thing I'm worried about. Is I just want to train these guys. Shout out Dan Kendrick, USK, May 20th, Hamburg. Be there.
Nice.
Dan's gonna put it on somebody too, and yeah, we're gonna get this gym some W's and get a real program going here.
Love it, man. Love it. Nice. So we are coming towards stop time, like I said. Usually me and Rich are on the same page with this, but I would love to have you back on the show again.
Absolutely.
If you'd be willing to come back, man.
Definitely, man. This is great. You got a great thing going. I'm proud of you, man. This is a passion for you, and like I know that feeling of the void of like, fighting was your life just as much as it was mine, and being here means a lot to you. But like, I know you're going to need a pursuit, just like eventually I'm probably going to need another pursuit as well. You know what I mean? Like, but these are the kind of people that we are, that that's that chase, that development, the angst of like always just needing something like that.
Yeah, man. Forever climbing. That's the truth, bro.
Yeah,
well,
you got a hell of a thing going, brother.
Thank you very
much, man.
Thanks for being on. All right, so I'm Matt Lavelle. This is Josh Lawler. This has been another episode of the Working Perspectives podcast. You can find us on all podcast platforms and YouTube at Working Perspectives Podcast. You can find us on Instagram, Working Perspectives Podcast. You can join us on the Twitter and the TikTok at Working P Pod. If you'd like to be a guest on the show, please email us at workperspective@gmail.com. And please like, subscribe, so we keep bringing you this sweet, sweet content. Thanks for listening. Stick around for the ad read. Thanks. See you.